The offense came out clicking, the defense came out making plays, and the starters seemed in sync. Today we're going to dive into my instant reaction of the Kansas City Chiefs falling to the Chicago Bears. But before we do dive into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related throughout the season that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's dive right into this game. Now, Chiefs Kingdom, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of this offseason talk that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be different. This offense isn't going to be the same without Tyreek Hill. This defense isn't going to be the same without their leader and Honey Badger and all the changes, which their defense wasn't even all that great. Yes, we have shown what we can do in training camp. We have shown our offseason moves, but now it's time for the boys to show the action on the field. And first up was the defense. And the defense came out fast and hitting, and it was fun to see. They made the Chicago Bears go 3 and out. Ended that drive with the Chris Jones sack. Love seeing him back in the backfield. He looked like his old self, and we're going to need that throughout the 2022 NFL season. We're going to need that basically Defensive Player of the Year, Chris Jones, coming out and making plays. That was exciting to see. But the question marks aren't really what lies on the defense, at least on the media side. We know we have all those question marks on the defense, and everyone around the world knows Kansas City has that. But the main sureness around this was the offense, and there's now question marks about Tyreek Hill. This whole thing is different. Can Mahomes still be Mahomes? Well, you can shut all that up when Mahomes goes 6 for 7, 70 yards, and gets Blake Bell in the end zone right off the bat. He was moving the ball. He found different receivers throughout that drive. He found MVS on a nice play. Rinse, cycle, repeat with Travis Kelce. That looked like it should always be looking. It just looked like everything was in sync on the first drive. That is how you want our first drive to go. And then, was it on this drive? I don't know if it was, but I might jump the gun a little bit. But it was also fun to see Justin Reed kick an extra point. It was fun because it was fun for him, and he was excited too. And Chiefs Kingdom knows, if the Kansas City Chiefs are having fun like that, and if they're loose like that, they're a hard team to beat. That was what they were in their Super Bowl run, and even when they went to the Super Bowl against the Bucs too. When that confidence and them having fun hits the field, they're a hard and almost unbeatable team to talk about. But that ended not the first quarter really, because Andy Reid saw what he needed to see, but that first series with the offense, you just needed a touchdown drive, and that's what I figured. If they got a touchdown drive and everyone looked in sync, they weren't playing a whole quarter. The defense, I think, played a full quarter too, but both series, Chicago's starters couldn't do anything against them. They were holding them out. They actually held a shutout throughout the first half. And then the second quarter is upon us, and it was anything possible time. And honestly, Chad Henne didn't really see the field that much. He went 3 and out, and then it was Shane Buechele time. And honestly, I'm not too surprised with that, because I think Kansas City is going to evaluate a lot of Shane Buechele and what his potential is, and if he's matured in the offseason, and if he's ready to grasp a QB2 spot. I think Kansas City is going to give him every opportunity to do that. And honestly, he was very inconsistent. One stellar drive he had was within 2 minutes. It's how you want to see a 2-minute drive go. And he threw an absolute dart to Justin Watson. And speaking of the boy Justin Watson, he is going to be your wide receiver number 5 on this team. If you didn't need to see anything else, we already knew it right away because Dave Toblow's the guy. But now he has offensive tape. That just solidifies his role on this team. He can be a weapon in the offense. He's a weapon on special teams. He is not going anywhere. And pause, because now I got to rewind a little bit, because I forgot about a major fact that happened in the first quarter. And it might not be major to a lot of people, but to me, it caught my eye, and I think it caught a lot of Chiefs Kingdom's eye. And it's the hype train Isaiah Pacheco. Now, he didn't do anything too stellar in this game, but what was stellar was he was running with the ones right away. And you're just like, is this a dream come true? Is he really out there? Is he really doing his thing? Now, I don't want to say he didn't get the start over CAH. They shared carries, and I think it was towards the end of that first series, he was the one that they mostly featured. And you could tell they tried to get him in the end zone too. And honestly, I thought he was going to get in the end zone when he bounced off that defender and then he fell. I was like, but he's another one where the Kansas City Chiefs are going to give him opportunities as well, because they really, it's not wanting him on this team. It's wanting him to prove that, hey, how many snaps are you going to get a game? We love to see how fast you are. We love to see how tough and powerful you are, and how good you are in the pass catching game too. You are definitely a necessity on this team. Can you please prove it in the preseason so you make us really smart when we either have to cut the likes of a Derek Gore or Ronald Jones or move forward? And another note I want to make too on this is Jerick McKinnon. I don't think he saw the field at all unless I missed it. That could be due to his surgery, but as well too, I think he's solidified your number 3 back, and that's because he brings that veteran presence in the locker room, and also too, he knows the playbook and he has performed in this system too. So those last 2 guys, Ronald Jones and Derek Gore, who we're going to speak a lot more about later on in this video, you're going to be fighting for those final spots if there is another spot after 3. But let's dive right back into that 2 minutes and wrap up this second quarter, because Shane Buechele, like I said, was inconsistent. But that was the drive he needed to prove and show, because we all know Shane Buechele might not make the practice squad if he performs in this preseason, because Arizona came nipping at the heels trying to take him from us, and other teams will do that likely. So if he can prove that he's better than Henne, he might be Kansas City's backup number 2 quarterback on this roster, and that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And as for Justin Watson, like I mentioned, remember the name. He's your wide receiver number 5. He is not going anywhere. Now let's dive into the second half. And unfortunately, I don't want to dive into the second half because it was not fun to watch whatsoever. It was actually very, very tough to watch. Kansas City looked like a completely different team in the second half. Kind of like in the championship game when they played the Cincinnati Bengals. I know that probably going to hurt a lot of people, but it was tough. And I know it's backups, but I love this time of the year because this is the point where players are going to try to earn spots, go out and prove, hey, I deserve to be on this team. And in the second half, it didn't seem like nobody stood out. The only person I will say that stood out that didn't belong out there was Leo Chanel. He was in the backfield often making plays, and he even had the green dot. He was calling plays for that defense, which I don't know if that was too good because the defense did not look good at all. But he was making plays. He was in the backfield. He was laying hits. I can't wait to see him, hopefully next game or in the 3rd preseason game, see him get some more runs with the 1s or 2s, because in the second half it was mostly the 2s and 3s. I want to see him get a few snaps with the starters and see how he meshes in with a Nick Bolton and a Willie Gay and see how they go moving forward. Let's focus on the running backs, because I mentioned them early on, and this is going to be tough because this offseason I heard a lot of people hammering for Derek Gore and that he deserves to be on this team. Kansas City shouldn't move forward. Derek Gore is better than CEH. He's probably the best running back on this team. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I think he lost his job today. He looked very, very bad, and that is unfortunate. He dropped like every pass his way besides one, and he fumbled the ball and basically put Chicago back on the 20-yard line. There was actually 2 unfortunate turnovers where Buechele made a terrible throw too, where he tried to stuff it in there and it just got picked off, and that was another where it flipped field and Chicago easily scored off of that too. Second half was just brutal to watch. But Derek Gore hurt his chances of making this roster, if there was even a chance. And I think it goes the same with Ronald Jones. Now, I know a lot of people are still fighting for Ronald Jones, and so am I, but he didn't really have any positive plays throughout the second half, or he even had some shots in the second quarter. A lot of people want to see him run behind the starting line, and I give it to you because the backup line looked atrocious. I can't tell you how many times Buechele got hit or Dustin Cromes got hit. Like, that looked like the same line that Mahomes was playing for against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. They were back there, often. So I understand people want to say, let's give Ronald Jones a shot with the ones. And true. But it's also something he's got to earn in camp. And if he's not going to earn those snaps ahead of a CEH or Isaiah Pacheco or a Jerick McKinnon, it's like you're playing where you need to play. And also, we're going to dive into the wide receivers now, too, because even when it comes to Chrome or Buechele, they might not have been perfect, but there was some balls they were putting where they needed to put. And Cornell Powell, his first throw that was to him, beautiful slant. He could have advanced upfield maybe another 5-10 yards, and he just straight up dropped it. It was a nice pass, and it was right where it needed to be. And then Josh Gordon was fighting with the sideline all day. He could not have any field awareness whatsoever, and he struggled to stay in bounds and get both feet in. It would have been 2 solid catches. It would have been okay, positive stuff to see from Josh Gordon. We can build on this moving forward. And it's damn, those aren't catches. And so it's going to be interesting to see with those 2 guys, because those 2 guys are ones fighting for wide receiver number 6. And honestly, now I think wide receiver 6 moves forward to Fountain. And Fountain didn't have nothing crazy today, but he looked like the Fountain we're used to seeing too, where you could trust him. If you threw it his way, he was catching the ball. Again, it was nothing crazy. It was maybe like 5 to 8 yard passes, but he was reliable in catching them. So that wide receiver 6 spot is going to be interesting to see moving forward too. And I think another thing to keep our eyes on too is special teams, definitely. In the punt return, Corey Coleman, he had a nice, I want to say it was a punt return. I think it was actually kickoff return. If Corey Coleman can get his way onto this team in special teams, which I highly doubt. I think he is a legit practice squad candidate to where if an injury happens, you can pull him forward, because we had Sky Moore also doing that too, and then Trent McDuffie was back there. I know they're just doing a rotation, but it was cool to see Corey Coleman actually hit the field. Definitely with everything he's been throughout his career, it was nice to see he's actually getting a legit shot to be on this team. But man, that second half was very tough to watch, and that's why Kansas City lost this game. And wins and losses doesn't really matter in preseason. What matters is if you're building a championship team. And in the first half, you could see it with the starters. But the depth behind them, and definitely when it came to the third string going into the second half, is like, needs a lot of work, but you should expect it because these are a lot of young guys moving forward. So I hope to see much more better performances going into game 2 and 3, because these guys got to act like they really want to fight and win jobs out there. And I just didn't see a lot of that. Maybe I'm watching a different game than what you guys saw, but when that second half happened, that's where I wanted to see it. I already know what Mahomes and the crew is going to do. I don't care what the world thinks Mahomes is going to do. I know who he is. We have seen who he is. He is the best quarterback in the league. He will find a way to will this offense to be great. It was good to see the positive in the defense. I want to see someone step up on this second string and third string and prove, hey, I want to be on this team. That's what's so fun about the preseason. That's what's so fun about training camp. But I'm going to cut this video short, you guys. Let me know your takeaways from this game and what really caught your eye, whether it be that first drive or this terrible second half. Let me know in the comments down below. With that, y'all take care. But before you do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I am out.